Hello. I wanted to take a few minutes to show you some scam emails that have been going around the internet recently, especially related to Exchange Online and Office 365, but all of these same concepts you can apply to other scam emails as well. There are a few things that you need to do to be able to identify if an email is a scam or not. This is one of the biggest ones coming through right now, is an email telling you that your Office 365 or your Exchange Online email account is full and that you need to click here to release space or check activity, whatever the case may be. This particular one tells you that there was an invalid attempt to access your email and that you better go here to review it. One of the first things to know is that almost all valid organizations, credit card companies, banks, Microsoft, Apple, Dropbox, Netflix, etc., are not going to ask you to click here to review the activity. They will tell you to log on to your account to check it out from there. And that is always one of the best things to do. Don't click on a link to check out what the email is telling you about. Instead, open up your browser yourself and go to the service or contact your IT support staff to find out. A couple of things to look for in this email. Number one, it nowhere actually includes my personalized name. It does include my email address, but it doesn't actually have my name in there at all. That's going to be one of the ways that you can tell, especially if you look at the subject and all that's in there is your email address and not a name. One of the other things to look at is the from address. Now, from addresses are formatted very strangely as far as email is concerned, and some clients will hide the actual underlying email address and only show you the friendly portion. In this case, the friendly portion is MS Enterprise Portal, while the actual email address underneath is richard@brandremedy.com. Well, I personally don't believe that richard@brandremedy.com has anything to do with Office 365 or My Exchange Online, so that's going to be one of the first things that you can look for. Look who the email is coming from. If it looks fishy at all, if it's not coming from the actual organization that it claims to be from, that's one of your first clues. Something else you can take a look at, any links that are included in the email itself, you should be able to hover over them in almost any modern email client. For instance, if I hover over the link of Review Recent Activity, this little pop-up comes up that shows me where I would actually go if I were to click this link. Notice it's going to https://iiisoftware.com. Again, that's not Microsoft, that's not Exchange, that's not Office 365. That has nothing to do with this particular email and what it's claiming to be representing. Now, I did go ahead and click on that email just so I could show you. I would not suggest that you do the same thing, and I took a screenshot. If you'll notice, when I went to where this email was trying to take me, it ended up going to a totally different location than the III software. It redirected to even another location, but again, it still is not Microsoft or Office 365. But the funny thing is that the page itself looks incredibly like the logon page to Microsoft Exchange Online. And that's one of the first things that they do, trying to lure you into clicking the information here. If you were to click on these links down to the bottom, if this were actually a live web page, they would link to Microsoft's terms of use and Microsoft's privacy and cookies policies, again, to further the scam. The thing that's happening though, if I put in my password and I click sign in, I've just given my email password to hackers out there. And this is definitely something that you do not want to do, because this is a huge scam going around right now. Once they have the ability to log into your email account, they can log in and start reading through all of your email, all your inbox, all of your sent items, looking for credit card numbers, bank account numbers, trying to figure out how to send emails as you to somebody else, perhaps to try to get them to wire transfer money from one location to another. So again, you need to be able to identify these key features that tell you that this is not a valid email message. A couple of other examples that you can take a look at. I got one a while ago, again, claiming to be from Office 365. If you take a look at it, it has all of those exact same features. Dear A. Spurlock, it does not have my name anywhere in it. If I hover over the link, it's going to somewhere that definitely is not Microsoft or Office 365 or anything like that. And one of the other items you can notice is that even though this is an HTML message, it doesn't have Microsoft's logo in it, so it just looks pretty strangely formatted. Curly braces around my email address, all sorts of things like that. So these are a couple of things, again, to look for. The email address for this one was coming from solution@passwordsettings.org. Again, not Microsoft. If you're ever wondering, don't click on the link. Go directly to the website itself, log on, and check there. If there's a problem, the moment you log on to the service, it's more than likely going to pop something up. If it's your bank and there truly is a problem, as soon as you log on, it would pop up and say, hey, there's an issue that you need to call us about. Or when you try to log on, it wouldn't let you log on at all. But again, don't go through the link. Go directly to the location. As another example of social engineering, I have an email message here from RingCentral. Now, we use RingCentral for our inbound fax messages so that we don't have to have a physical fax machine. The thing about that is that I then got this message from RingCentral telling me that I had a fax. It looks a lot like the message that I would receive if I did receive a fax, but there were some slight differences. Number one, I have a 0-page fax, which is kind of strange. It was coming from nobody that I recognize at all, and in my case, we don't get faxes very often, so that was an immediate key. But again, if I were to look at the from address here, RingCentral at TravelLinkServices.com, TravelLink Services is not RingCentral. If I were to hover over the link, this is taking me to a location that is a .biz address that has nothing to do with RingCentral. This one, if I clicked on it, was a little bit different, and I want to show you this as well, because if I were to click on that one, what it did was it took me to a location that actually had me download a Microsoft Word document file. These types of scams are happening a lot right now. If somebody's looking for a job, or if you're advertising a job, you might get a lot of these emails in that appear to be a resume or appear to be an invoice that go to your accounting email address and so forth. One of the things to note here is that you'll get this message, oops, something went wrong, and it tells you to click on this Enable Editing button, and once you've done that, click on another button that says Enable Content. Essentially, the document is telling you to do everything to undo all of the protections that Microsoft has put in place. If you read this bar, it says be careful, files can contain viruses. It's safer to stay in protected view. There is no document that you need to enable editing to actually see the content. If you've posted out there some sort of a job listing and an interviewee sends you a resume that does something like this, email them back. Ask them for a resume in a PDF format. There's no reason today that somebody can't send you a PDF resume, or at the very least an unprotected Word document as a resume. So this type of issue is something that should never catch you off guard. If you get something like this, immediately delete it, give us a call, we can definitely help you out with that. But it is key today to be able to identify these issues in phishing or scam messages so that you don't get caught. Remember, what they're trying to do is they are trying to get your passwords for your services. Once they have that password, a lot of times they're not going to instantly do something. Instead, they're going to log on to the services especially in the case of email, look through all of your email messages and try to come up with some sort of a scam that they can run that appears to be you doing it, yet ends up giving them money or some other sort of benefit. It's always important to use strong passwords. Passwords that are 8 characters or longer, that have a mix of uppercase, lowercase numbers, and some sort of characters. It's also important to change your passwords regularly, because if somebody were able to hack into your email with one of these types of email messages, they get your password, and then maybe 20 days later your password changes, guess what? They're locked out. They can't get in. So just a couple of tips there for you to watch for. Look for the from address. Always hover over links and be sure it's actually going where you think it should go. And instead of clicking the link, just go there directly. If I were to hover over this link and it said Microsoft.com or Office365.com is where it was going, I could still open up my browser, go to that location directly, and log in to verify whether what the email message says is true or not.